Chapter 7. Javea arrived back at home with half an investigation carried out. He wasn't able to gather enough from the scene or the hospital to make sense of what had gone on. His findings were that a man was killed, and another involved in the accident was hurt, but when he got to the hospital, he wasn't hurt, and now he wasn't there. Aside from that, there were the statements and contact details of probably hundreds of people in the area who were in attendance. Granted, many of these would have seen nothing, but some might have seen something crucial to his investigation. All of that was for the morning, but that morning felt like a long time away. When he couldn't sleep, Javea usually put on a movie that he'd seen 100 times before. It tricked his brain into thinking he was doing something while the familiarity of the movie let him slip away into sleep, not needing to stay focused to see what was happening next. He had a whole shelf on his DVD cabinet that contained his go-to movies for occasions such as this. It included Fight Club, Snatch, a few James Bond films, and the Jason Bourne series of movies among others. He reached for Tomorrow Never Dies, a James Bond movie that followed the formula. It was never hailed as a classic, but in Javea's eyes it was the classic of its time, typically 90s, typically Pierce Brosnan. The credits started. Javea popped to the kitchen and grabbed a drink, and then he settled back down as the obligatory opening sequence played out. He went back to the kitchen for a bag of crisps while the overlong, overplayed credits played out, getting back to his seat after a toilet stop just in time for the movie to start in earnest. Javea settled into the cushions on the sofa, feeling like he was sinking into them. This was a good sign. When the sofa felt like it was eating him alive, Javea knew that his body was growing weary and heavy. But it was the only good sign present. His body might have felt heavy, but his mind was still racing. He hadn't taken in any dialogue from the movie. He hadn't looked at the action scenes. He wasn't keeping up with the storyline. Instead, his mind was on two places, the hospital and the site of the death. He replayed what he'd seen and heard over and over again, and none of it made sense. Knowing that he wouldn't be asleep for some time, Javea picked up his phone. His first instinct was to text Angelica, but he fought that. She was a woman with a young child who had to be at school the following day. There was no way she would be up. Was there? His resistance didn't last long. One text. Send it, then wait for 5 minutes. If she didn't answer, then she would be asleep, and he would have to find some other way of entertaining himself while his brain chewed over the findings of the day. Hi, Angelica. Are you awake? As soon as he hit the send button, Javea chastised himself. Well, whenever she read the text, she would be awake, so the question was futile and childish. Never mind. He'd have to shake off the embarrassment for the next time he saw her. That was Javea's way with anyone. If there was an opportunity to put his foot in his mouth, then he would inevitably take it. He set the countdown timer on his phone for 5 minutes and waited for the inevitable. The alarm would go to indicate his 5 minutes were up. Then he would think about his stupid text more than he thought about the death of an actor in the Moors and Christians festival. With only 30 seconds left, Javea decided to put himself out of his misery. He looked at the wall in front of him and thought about having a conversation with the mirror hanging from it. He rose to his feet, checked his reflection, and opened his mouth. Ping! Before he could say anything, his phone notification told him there was something to draw his attention to. Javea looked and saw that Angelica had replied. They started a text conversation. I am now, lol. Sorry, did I wake you? No, only joking, I was awake. Are you okay? Yes, saw the man killed today at the festival. Nasty stuff. And Tommy? No, he was with Mariana. Good. Not a sight for young eyes. Nor old ones. Did you see anything? Do you ever switch off? Not really. Don't know how to. What was the last good thing you watched on TV? Money Heist. Very good. And do you recommend I watch it? Yes, but in English. Your Spanish isn't good enough. See? You can switch off. Lol. I suppose. You? What do you watch? With a young boy, I mostly watch cartoons. But when I get control over the TV, I like to watch period dramas. Downton Abbey. Never seen it. Maybe we can watch it together. Maybe. The conversation ebbed and flowed like this for 10 minutes, each waiting for the other's reply, spying the flashing dots on the screen, wondering what the next response would be. The smiles they both developed during their text conversation stayed with them as they cleaned their teeth, got undressed, and went to bed. Their friendship was growing. It made Angelica happy that she had a friend in this town that she was a stranger in. Javea was happy that he had someone to talk to. Life was lonely when you were a cop.